partner reaches for you and your body freezes. Or maybe this is emotion, but you're not really there. You're somewhere else. You're checked out. You're dissociating. Or maybe you just want to be intimate again. You miss that connection. But the second things start to happen, you start to get flooded with images, with questions, with this sickening awareness that they did this with someone else. And now you're wondering, will sex ever feel safe again? Or will this just be kind of broken forever? Sexual intimacy after betrayal is not just about desire. It's about safety. And if you try to rebuild it before your body really trusts again, then you're not really healing. You're re-traumatizing yourself. So today I'm going to walk you through exactly why physical intimacy feels impossible after an affair, what's happening in your nervous system, and most importantly, how to rebuild touch, closeness, and eventually sex in a way that feels healing instead of harmful. This is a conversation you need to have with your partner. Let's get into it. If you're new here, my name is Wes, and I'm a couples therapist. And this is part 5 of my series on rebuilding trust after infidelity. In the other parts of this series, we've covered the foundational trauma of affairs. We've talked about what real remorse looks like versus fake apologies. We've talked about intrusive thoughts and triggers and how to heal these things in real time. But today we are going to be addressing something that almost never gets talked about openly. And that is what happens to your body after betrayal. Because here's the reality. You can do all of the therapy. You can do all the right conversations. You can have a partner who demonstrates real remorse. But when it comes time to be physically intimate again, your body has the final say. You can't fake your way past it. And if your body says no, or it goes through the motions while screaming no on the inside, well, you can't logic your way past that. So what do you do? First, let's understand what betrayal does to your body, not just to your mind. When someone has an affair, the trauma isn't just stored in your thoughts. It's encoded into your nervous system. Bessel van der Kolk, in his groundbreaking book, The Body Keeps the Score, which maybe you've heard of, explains that trauma lives in implicit memory. This is the part of the brain that stores sensory and emotional information, but it's not conscious. There's no conscious awareness of it. So what does that mean practically for you? Well, it means that your body remembers the betrayal, even when your mind is trying to move forward. It's working against you here. And a certain touch might trigger a flashback. A certain position might flood you with images. Even your partner's scent or the way that they breathe might send you into panic or shutdown, depending on what's going on and what your history is with this affair. This isn't being dramatic and it's not holding on to the past. This is your autonomic nervous system doing exactly what it's designed to do. It's protecting you from a perceived threat. That's what PTSD is. It creates a hypervigilant state where you are looking for perceived threats so you can protect yourself from them. In the psychobiological approach to couples therapy, or CAC, designed by Dr. Stan Tatkin, he talks about how partners become neurobiologically wired to each other. Your nervous system learns to recognize your partner as safe or unsafe based on repeated experiences. And an affair is the ultimate betrayal of that safety. So when your partner starts to touch you, your body might respond as if it is under threat. Even if your conscious mind is saying, they're remorseful, I know that they're remorseful, they're trying, I know that they're trying, I know I want to move forward. Your body doesn't care about that logic though. It cares about survival. It cares about protecting you. So what's actually getting in the way here? Well, let me break down the 3 most common barriers that I see in my practice one at a time. Barrier number 1 is the comparative intrusion. So this is the one that tortures people the most. And it's where you're trying to be intimate with your partner and suddenly your mind floods with questions. Did they do this with the other person? Did it feel like this? Were they better, more exciting, more desired? Am I being compared right now? These are real fears. Dr. Janice Abrams Spring, in her book, How Can I Forgive You, calls this comparative obsession. And it's one of the most painful after effects of infidelity, because now sex isn't just about you and your partner. There's a third person in the room, an invisible presence that you can't get rid of. And the cruel part of this is that the more you try not to think about it, the more intrusive those thoughts become. It's really hard to just shut your mind off in this way, because this is your brain trying to assess threat constantly. It's asking, am I enough for them? Am I safe? Can I trust this person with my body? And until those questions have answers, your nervous system actually believes those intrusions are going to keep popping up. Barrier 2 is the loss of exclusivity and sacredness. Sex in a committed relationship isn't just physical. It's symbolic. It represents exclusivity. It represents trust. It represents a shared intimacy that belongs to only the two of you. And so when that partner has an affair, that exclusivity is shattered. In her book, The Betrayal Bind, Michelle Mays talks about how affairs violate a relational covenant, the unspoken agreement that your bodies, your intimacy, your vulnerability belong to each other. And when that covenant is broken, well, sex can feel kind of contaminated. It can feel tainted, like something sacred has been desecrated. So this is why some betrayed partners report feeling disgusted by touch from their partner, even if they still love them. It's not about the physical act. It's about what that act meant, about how that meaning has been destroyed. You can't rebuild something like sacredness quickly. It has to be re-earned slowly through trustworthiness and care and time. Barrier 3 is the shutdown response. Here's the barrier that confuses those people the most. You really want to be intimate with your partner. You miss the closeness. You are trying to reconnect with them. But the second things start to progress, your body starts to shut down. You freeze, you disassociate, you go numb, you are physically present, but you are not there. Or maybe you have a panic response. Your heart races, your breathing gets shallow. You feel like you need to escape. You need to get out of there as quickly as you can. All of this is called a trauma-triggered shutdown. It's your body's way of protecting you when it perceives a threat. In polyvagal theory, which is developed by Dr. Stephen Porges, this is explained through the autonomic nervous system, which has a hierarchy of responses. So social engagement, where you feel safe and connected, fight or flight, where you feel mobilized or to defend or either escape, and then freeze or shut down, where you feel immobilized or collapsed. After betrayal, your body might be stuck in fight, or freeze, even when your conscious mind wants to connect. And so here's what's important. You can't willpower your way out of this. If your body's saying no, then you have to listen. It's going to make you listen, because overriding that signal doesn't build intimacy. It builds more trauma. You're pushing through something that needs to be healed first. Okay, so how do you actually rebuild then? Well, here's the framework that I use with couples in my practice. And I want to be clear, you can't skip stages. Each one builds the foundation for the next. But before we even start stage one, let me give you two practical realities that need to happen first in your relationship. If there has been a physical affair, then I think reality check one is that you should probably get tested for STIs. I know this is awkward. I know it's embarrassing, but you both need to go and get tested. It will make you both feel safer in the long run. And honestly, this is what I call low-hanging fruit, because once you do it, you can check it off the list. You can stop worrying about it. Most of the time, the tests come back clear, but having that confirmation removes one layer of fear and uncertainty. And reducing that anxiety matters. Reality check two is that you probably need to take a break. I often recommend couples take a 90-day break from sex after disclosure of an affair. Not forever, but 90 days. It's like 3 months. This gives you the space to rebuild emotional connection before you try to rebuild physical intimacy, because one really precludes the other. Because if you rush back into sex before safety is really fully restored, then you're just layering more trauma on top of the original wound, and you need to do some healing work first. So now that we've covered that, let's talk about the 5 stages. Stage 1, you need to establish non-sexual touch and safety. So before you even think about sex, you have to rebuild safe non-sexual touch. And here's a concrete way to do that: breath synchronization. So you sit next to each other on the couch. You don't even have to be touching at first. That's okay. Just close your eyes and start to match each other's breathing. I know this sounds really basic, but matching your breathing is a powerful way to tell your nervous system this person can be safe for you, because you're co-regulating with that person. And as this gets easier, you can move closer to your partner. The sides of your bodies can touch. You can hold hands. You can sit facing each other. But the key to this is that you can't start off with expectations or an agenda. You just need to be present with your partner. The goal here is that you're reteaching your nervous system that touch from this person doesn't have to be a threat. And this is where the betraying partner has to demonstrate some incredible patience. Because if they rush this, if they let non-sexual touch turn sexual before the betrayed partner is ready, it will just break the trust all over again. In emotionally focused couples therapy, which was developed by Dr. Sue Johnson, it talks about how physical touch is an attachment signal. Okay, so it says, I'm here, you're safe, and I'm not going anywhere. But after an affair, that signal has been corrupted. So you have to rebuild it from the ground up. We're really rebuilding the signals here. Here are some other forms of non-sexual touch that you could try. Holding hands while watching TV, you just give them a hug, a hand on the back, sitting close without expectation. The goal here is to keep expectations low and start small. How long does this take? Well, weeks, sometimes months. Hey, look, you're really trying to gain a sense of comfort with really basic things first and rebuild from there. And it can take a while, and that's normal. Stage 2 is that you practice consent, agency, and eye contact. So here's what a lot of people get wrong. They think rebuilding intimacy means just getting back to normal, right? And normal is what got you here in the first place. So what you need instead is a new normal, one that's built on clear, consistent bodily agency and presence with your partner. Here's a practice that is simple, but deeply vulnerable that I do with my clients. It's called eye gazing. And I always get a lot of laughs from the couples I do this with because it's a lot harder than it seems. So sit facing each other, set a timer for 30 seconds to start with, and just look into each other's eyes. The goal here is you can't talk, you can't laugh, can't make funny faces at each other. That's all avoidance of the vulnerability. You just need to be present. When the timer ends, share what came up for you. Maybe it was a sense of warmth. Maybe it was sadness. Maybe it was awkward as hell. All of that stuff is valid. But over time, I want you to work up to 1 minute, and 2, 5 minutes. Eye gazing forces you to be present. You can't hide behind explanations or defenses. You can't hide in that way. You just have to show up as you are. And it can be a really, really intimate exercise. It's really hard to do. Honestly, it's hard. So work your way up from 30 seconds. The betrayed partner in this case gets to set the pace every single time. If they say no, then that gets to be respected immediately without defensiveness. Something like maybe or I'm not sure should still be treated as a no until it becomes a clear yes. Dr. Stan Tatkin in Pact Therapy, he emphasizes that after betrayal, the betrayed partner needs to feel in control of their own body again. So the betrayer's job then is to create a context where the betrayed partner can safely explore intimacy without feeling rushed, without feeling obligated, without feeling pressured. And here's the paradox. Look, the more space the betrayer gives, the safer the betrayed partner will feel. And safety is what will eventually allow desire to return. Stage 3 then is to reintroduce touch through sensate focus. Now we're ready to start bringing touch back, but without the pressure of having sex. This is where Sensate Focus comes in. It's a technique that was developed by Masters and Johnson, who are experts in the field of sex therapy, and is my go-to tool because it removes performance pressure entirely. This is how it works. Step 1, you pick a neutral, safe place. Start with on the couch in the living room, somewhere that doesn't carry sexual history. Step 2, one person is the toucher, the other person is the receiver. You're going to switch these roles later on, so it doesn't matter who starts. Step 3 is that the receiver lies down, fully clothed on their stomach. This feels too vulnerable at first, then you can start with just hands, arms, or feet instead of laying down and touching the whole body. Step 4 is to set a timer for 10 to 15 minutes. The toucher explores touch slowly, gently, without any goal except to be present with the sensation. After the timer, talk about what it felt like. Was it comfortable for you? What was triggering? What did you notice? The key here is that you are not trying to create arousal. Okay? Aim away from that. You're trying to create safety with touch. And over time, as safety builds, you can slowly expand, touching more areas, removing layers of clothing, increasing the time spent, but it's always at the pace of the person who needs the most safety. That's the rule. Stage 4 then is to address intrusive thoughts and rebuild slowly. If you're going to rebuild sexual intimacy, you have to deal with the intrusive thoughts head on. And here's how you do that. You bring these things into the light. The betrayed partner needs to be able to say, I'm having intrusive thoughts right now. I need to know, did you do this with them? I need reassurance that this is different and I'm different. And the betraying partner's job is to stay non-defensive, answer honestly, and offer reassurance. Dr. Janice Abrams Spring in After the Affair recommends that couples have explicit conversations about what happened physically in the affair, not to torture the betrayed partner, but to remove the mystery. Because what you imagine is often worse than the truth. And once the truth is out, your brain has something concrete to work with instead of spiraling into worst case scenarios. I know this conversation is hard, really, really hard, but it is helpful. Now, when you're finally ready to re-engage sexually, here's a technique that helps. Okay. Keep your eyes open. Look at each other. look into each other's eyes during sex because this helps both partners stay present. It says to your partner that I'm here, I'm with you, not with anyone else. And if intrusive thoughts come up during sex, stop, name it, talk about it. Don't white knuckle your way through. That's not the goal here. Don't muscle your way through flashbacks because that is not helpful in the long run. Stop whatever you're doing and say, I'm having intrusive thoughts. Can we pause? And then the betraying partner listens deeply, generously, with empathy, no defensiveness, no frustration, just being present. This might mean that you have more false starts than successful encounters. And look, that's okay. It's a process because every time you respond with patience instead of frustration, you're proving your trustworthiness. Stage 5 here is to keep the connection warm. And there's a great exercise called simmering that can be helpful here. This is the final stage. It's the one that moves you from recovery to transformation. Most people think foreplay starts right before sex, but foreplay starts at the end of your last sexual experience and it continues until your next one. This is what therapists call simmering. And it's keeping the erotic energy alive without the expectation of sex. Simmering might look like, a flirty text during the day or like teasing comment, lingering touch on the back, foot rub without an agenda, taking a shower together. But again, these things should not come with the expectation of sex, but it's a way of maintaining closeness and keeping the sexual energy alive in the relationship. If you're not used to doing these things, then this can take some time to build up to. So start small and give yourselves grace. And here's the thing, you can name this with your partner. You can say, hey, I want to do this thing, but no pressure or just simmering. This removes the pressure and it builds trust. And it makes it more of a fun thing, right? Because your partner now knows that this touch doesn't have to lead anywhere. There's no expectation. It's safe to just enjoy it. And over time, as safety deepens, you can begin to reclaim your sexual intimacy as something new, not just a return to what it was before. And that might mean creating new rituals of connection that are unique to your new marriage 2.0. Trying new things together that have no history attached, or redecorating the bedroom, or changing the environment. Talking explicitly about what you both want your sexual relationship to look like moving forward. They're recreating a new relationship and a new sexual relationship too. The goal here is to create a new story, one where the affair is part of your history, but it's not the defining feature of your intimacy. Before we move on, I need to address one more roadblock, and that's resentments. If you were holding on to resentment, anger, bitterness, withdrawal, it's going to block your ability to feel desire. And look, I get it. You have every right to be angry. But the question you need to ask yourself is, what is the cost of holding on to this resentment? How does it benefit me? Does it make you feel strong? Like you have the upper hand? Are you afraid that if you let go, you're condoning what happened? Because here's the reality. Resentment doesn't just block desire. It takes a physical toll. Research has shown that it can lead to heart disease, high blood pressure, compromised immune system. I'm not saying you need to forgive your partner right away. Far from it. But you need to find a way to work through the resentment instead of letting it calcify if you are trying to stay in this relationship. And that might mean getting into therapy. In fact, I highly recommend that you get into therapy if you are struggling with an affair. It might mean journaling. It might mean EMDR to process the trauma underneath the anger. But you can't rebuild intimacy while holding on to bitterness. Those two things can't really coexist. So if you're the one who had the affair, I need you to hear this. Your partner's body is not withholding from you, okay? It's protecting itself. And that means that every time you express frustration, impatience, or entitlement around physical intimacy, you are proving, again, that you are not safe. So here's what real leadership in this context looks like. You remove all pressure. You don't initiate. Don't hint. You don't make your partner responsible for your sexual needs. You become endlessly patient. Even if it takes a year, even if it takes 2, even if progress is slow and it's nonlinear, you offer affection, but without an agenda. You hug because you want to comfort them, not because you want to lead somewhere. You verbalize reassurance without being asked. You say things like, you're the only one I want. This is different. I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. And you do your own work. You get into therapy. You do self-reflection. You understand why you went outside the relationship instead of coming to your partner. Because here's the truth. You cannot rush the body's timeline. You broke something sacred. And if you want it back, you have to earn it. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Okay. Physical intimacy after betrayal is not about getting back to normal. It's about building something new, something that actually feels safe for both of you. Healing doesn't happen in these like big dramatic breakthroughs. It happens in small, consistent actions over time. Breathing together, looking into each other's eyes, touching without expectation, simmering instead of pushing, naming what's happening for you internally instead of hiding it. And hey, if you're the betrayed partner, your body is not broken. Wise. If it's saying not yet, then listen to it. Don't force yourself to be ready before you are. It's okay to not be ready. If you're the betraying partner, your impatience is not neutral. It's re-traumatizing. So take that pressure off. Lead with patience. Trust that if you do the work, intimacy can return. Slowly, in its own time. This is sacred work, guys. It can't be rushed. And I just want to say, I know how hard this is. I've worked with couples on these exact issues, and it is a real challenge. But if you do the work, things can improve. You can get there, and it can get better. In part 5, we're going to talk about marriage 2.0, what it actually takes to build something stronger than what you had before, which is possible, and when to know if you're rebuilding or just surviving. Okay. If this video helped you, then please like, subscribe to my channel, share it with somebody who needs to hear this, add a comment down below because it really helps the algorithm. And thank you so much for watching. I just want you to know that dealing with this kind of trauma in a relationship can be so hard, but a better future is possible. Thank you. I'll see you next time.